All right, we're going live, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I lost all my equipment, but yeah,
All right.
I would like to.
All right,
All right.
welcome everybody. This is Swamp Talk Tuesday nights. We've already been getting the conversation going. With me, as always, is Jake the Giant, my co-host, my brother from another mother, all around badass mama. And our guest tonight is Ole Skeet. He's the star of the show. This show is about him, putting us on to some game. He's going to give us some knowledge about the lane he's in and some information about who he is, what he does. So without any further ado, you want to introduce yourself, Ole Skeet?
I'm Ole Skeet, y'all. There it is.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty lame introduction, but it's just that's just it. I'm out there, man.
Well, let me do you some justice.
Right.
I met Ole Skeet through I think he hit me up through Instagram. I ended up hopping on a song called Dim Boys, and he blessed me with the first opportunity to be able to go ahead and be in a music video, because I thought I wasn't at that point yet to be in a music video, and he pretty much showed me, no man, send me a video and you can get on the video. So ever since then, he's been kind of like my mentor in this music lane, because he's doing it independent, but he's been around a little bit, and I always respect the wisdom of my elders. You know what I mean? I mean, no disrespect. I mean, your name's Ole Skeet, though.
That's right. It is. I have been around quite a bit. Started back in the 80s. Actually, I started music earlier than 85. It was 82 or 80. I don't even remember now. I was in a punk rock group.
Nice.
But I didn't get involved in hip hop until 85 with a guy named DJ Trick. You might know him as Paw Paw Fresh.
Yes, I know Paw Paw.
And a few others. Another guy in that group was MC Pete, who now goes by Radio Rashid. He's a Southern R&B type singer, and he's a very talented man. We got signed to Big Bad Wolf Records out of Jackson, Tennessee, by a man named James Wolf, and his stage name was Super Wolf. He was a Sugar Hill artist. He did music for So classic. This is old school stuff, man.
Yeah, classic hip hop.
Yeah, and anyway, we did that for a while till I got fired. I got fired for asking questions like, when we gonna start making money? That happens in hip hop, and it happens in the music industry in general. But anyway, after that, a year or two had passed, and we kind of got back together again. I'd gotten married to an Arkansas lady. I met her in Illinois, but and me and Trick got together, and we started putting a studio together. And studio led to, and it was a slow grind, but the studio led to a more professional studio, and that led to a publishing company, a production company, a record company. And we did the thing for a few years, and till everybody started getting their own deals and doing other things, And so
parting ways when the money came by.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. Back then, everybody was chasing the deal. Nowadays, everybody's running away from it. But it's a different time now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Matter of fact, here I want to play show and tell.
I love this.
This is the very first record. This is actually an actual. I don't think it's even open. This one ain't open. Anyway, this is the first record we put out. It's the first record that DJ Trick is on. First record I'm on, and there's a guy on here named Funky Thumbs, but he goes by the name of K-Funk. He's a legend out of Indianapolis, and K-Funk was a little bit nervous about recording in the country, because he's a brother from Indianapolis, and he didn't trust rednecks with shotguns, and so, but he is the dopest bass player you ever meet. A lot of other people on here, James Trull, the legend, he played for Black Oak, Arkansas. You ever heard of that group?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He played with them. A guy named Clay Holly. He was a very talented guitarist. Another a number of other people are on it. This record is actually not very good, but there's some really talented people on it, you know. And this sort of launched it. It's our first one.
Well,
Anyway.
that's like gold because that you have the core of your progression. Like if anybody ever has something to say, it's like, you know what, you got to start somewhere. I mean, my first song I put out was that Felony song, and I wanted to put out a song where I'm like up front, like, hey, if you messing with me as a rapper, just know here's my felonies, XYZ. Here's what I did with them, XYZ, and just introduce myself in that way. So I think it's dope that you brought out your first record because I was gonna ask you, like I know you've been on the stage recently, and I know you probably gotten on the stage back in the day. Can you tell, like, compare and contrast your first show with your latest?
Well, my first show was actually bigger than most people's first show. Most people's first show is like at some bar somewhere with like 10 drunks watching and they throw beer bottles at you. My first show was at the Jackson, Tennessee Civic Center in front of 2,400 people.
Wow.
And I was one of like 3 white dudes in the whole place. And so back then you're met with a great deal of suspicion and doubt until you get on that microphone or those turntables. And when you get on the microphone and those turntables, you better do the damn thing. And I did the damn thing. And it was all right. But I mean, for the time, you know, those raps now, I wouldn't even perform them in public. But, you know, but for the day, they were great. But anyway, it was a good show. You know, I was nervous as hell, I ain't gonna lie. I'd been on the stage before, but like high school stuff, you know, nothing real. Nothing. Sure. I mean, I guess it's all real in a sense, but you know what I mean? This is the first time actually getting on a stage in front of people and getting paid for it. And it wasn't much. It was like McDonald's money. So, I mean, we ain't talking about a lot of money here, you know. But and the DJs got paid even less than we did.
Right.
Superwolf didn't. He thought he owned radio stations, so he had DJs. So he didn't understand the kind of DJ we had. You know, these are performance DJs. These are not radio station DJs.
Right.
You know,
it's a different skill to get a crowd's energy moving than it is to sit back in the studio and make sure the next song plays on time.
Yeah. This is way different. I guess the latest show, it really ain't no different. It's just you get up there and you do your thing. It's actually easier now because you just drop them a thumb drive and they play the thing, and you either go over what you already did, or you have an instrumental and you do that, and you walk around the stage and try to get people involved and all that stuff. The problem with me now is I've got some mobility issues. I'm old as fuck. Oh, pardon. Am I supposed to say that?
You can say whatever you want. This is geared to adults, and I don't want to be sexist about it, but it's kind of a guys' podcast. So I mean, it's run by guys. We might have women on here. We're not sexist, but we're doing here, man. We're hanging out on
if I can.
No, anyway, I cuss all the time.
The long and short of it is, really, it's in a way it's easier now. The technology is way better. The crowds are either a lot bigger or a lot smaller. Music's more intimate these days, it seems. It kind of reminds me of the period in the 70s when everybody had like a guitar and they went to all these places and did, sort of like the folk thing. Well, that's kind of where country rap is these days.
We're big Jerry Garcia nuts. I know that Jake is just steeped and silly with it for real, but I've really been trying to study how Jerry plays, you know what I'm saying? But that's a thing I admire about that, and that ties into the culture of what we're trying to do in the quote-unquote hip-hop or country rap lane. Mostly I think that's because we're white boys, is we get boxed in sometimes about that. But
it's easier for
some of us really put the country in it, you know what I mean? Like a lot more than others.
It's easier to be a light-skinned brother these days. As a group I was in the 90s, by the way, LSB.
Light-skinned
brothers in the house. Anyway.
Well, what I was going to tell you, just to finish up, what I was going to say is I saw Outlaw Nation over here in Hampshire, Tennessee, which is just it's a spot on the highway. Like you slow down to 30 miles an hour and then you speed back up. There's not even a gas station, and they played to about 200 people. And then the very next weekend in North Carolina was 70,000 people.
Wow,
that's amazing, man.
Yeah, so I felt so blessed that they were there because they're really like that for real. And I guess the promotion, I don't know what the deal was, just it was so small. It was like, yeah, right, they're in Hampshire, you know what I mean? But it was like a real intimate setting. And then to see them the next week, and it was just like you couldn't see the end of the crowd. That's what I love about this culture, comparing it over to the Dead, where they were playing to rooms of their friends one night and to the whole world the next.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as far as getting your music out there, it's way easier now than back then. But the competition is a lot more now. I mean, a lot more. Everybody, it's like everywhere you go, there's somebody that's a musician or an artist or something, and that's kind of cool in a way. But it kind of when you got the folks that are either learning their craft or they just suck at it, they muddy the waters for everybody else a little bit. And so you hope nature takes its course and they say, you know what, I'm going to go back to plumbing or whatever it was I was doing, and I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I want to encourage people to do it, but you got to pay your dues. You got to get out there and work, and you need somebody in your life that tells you you're full of shit. You do.
Oh, for sure.
Because the ego, you have to have ego to put yourself out there, but you got to keep it in check. You really do, because you got to try to stay as humble as you can. I think Mike Sons has a new album called Stay Humble. Good for him, because that's what you got to do. He's right. And so you got to try to stay as humble as you can, because, everybody you meet ain't your friend. They ain't. And
right.
They're wanting something from you. If they're hanging out with you, they are. And that's not true for every single human being, but there's more of them than there are of the real ones.
Right.
And when you meet the real ones, like I know a few real ones right now. I call them they don't even know that I call them this necessarily, but the Swamp Music Militia. I sent you something the other day, and I made a caricature of everybody.
Yes.
King Kush, Tone the Bone, Swamptree. Y'all are my boys, man. Y'all are real. Y'all keep it real. And I appreciate that a great deal. And I can say the same about, going back in the day, Pawpaw Fresh. You ain't gonna find nobody more real than him. He's the one. Now he's very selective these days of who he works with, but he has to, because there's so many snakes and sharks out there, but you just got to wade through the nonsense and just do your music, man. I'm sorry.
Well, my mindset about it is, if you're in there with the snakes and sharks, you got to be that much more of a predator about it. And just know, sometimes if you're the bigger fish and you got a little fish nagging at you, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, maybe it's trying to feed off of you or whatever. I get that. And sometimes people are just, appreciate your craft and don't appreciate their own as much, or something like that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like that. So I totally understand keeping your head up.
I like to work with it. I try to work with as many people as I can. Like I did a song the other day with a rapper from Australia. Ghost X, if anybody knows who that is.
Shout out Ghost X.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man. He does dark music, and I don't usually, but I have a dark side, so I channeled my dark side a little bit for that song, but it's gonna be all right.
It's important. It's important to push outside the box a little bit sometimes. I have a song with Tone the Bone coming out, Blood on the Floor, and when I'm sitting by myself and writing, I don't get into a mindset of the murder music that we grew up with, like your 3-6 Mafia, like that beginning 3-6 Mafia and that old Dayton Family and some of that older ICP stuff got pretty morbid, you know what I mean? Because they were talking about, like, that was an era where you got to understand that people were getting more into reading books about the devil and this and that. And, that kind of music was really, really hot underground. You know what I mean? UGK, even, you know what I mean? Like all
My
that.
nephew was a real big fan of ICP.
I love ICP. I consider myself a jungalo. I don't know. Some like I like how their newer stuff, what they're doing. They're kind of like crate digging and kind of doing the old school chant stuff. But their new guy, Weezy Mac, he's one of my favorites. He's a big influence for me. Not really content and subject matter wise, but making you want to sing along or saying some dope shit in the song that you're like, hold up, what did he just say? You know what I mean? Because I got a song called, or I got a song coming out where I say king size nuts create kings like us. And like, you know, that's a Ouija Mac inspired line. He's never said that, but I'm like, let me tell these motherfuckers, like, you know, we're bosses in this life. We are the men. We got to take this life, you know, because I'm all about that. I started following this guy Perry. He's Perry Powerhouse Fitness, and he's all about taking masculinity back and giving females their femininity back and stuff like that.
I like it
for sure.
I'm not seeing this. Oh, there we are. I was on the wrong one, I guess.
We talking about, Jake?
It won't let me join the chat. I've connected my YouTube and everything, and then it just keeps giving me that option. But it's
I went out and came back in, and now I can see the chat.
If you had to go out and go back in, Jake,
on my laptop, not on my phone.
Yeah, Tennessee Dad wants to know about your Viking helmet.
Yeah, I was trying to tell him, man. I didn't get the Viking helmet, but you know what I'm saying? I might get some horns for this mug. You never know.
Hell yeah.
I don't think real Viking helmets have horns, do they?
I don't think that was ever a real thing. I think that was Hagar the Horrible in the funny papers that started that.
Yeah.
All right, Skeet. So what about your last show? Like, I want to learn about like promotion type things for shows. How did your last show go? Like, did you get put on to a show?
It really wasn't my thing. It was somebody else's thing, and I was just doing you know, just a sort of a, what do you call it?
Hype man.
I popped up for a song, you know, a little spot. So it really wasn't a thing.
So that was the Tone the Bone show?
No, it was in Bay St. Louis.
Bay St. Louis. Okay.
But no, it's I'm not on the road. I don't do that. I'll do some shows, but for me at my point in my career in my life, and I'm not about that. I'll still do shows if I need to, or if a really good opportunity comes up to put myself out there and meet a crowd and all that. I like that part of it. I'm just creating right now. I'm doing a lot of production work. I'm doing a lot of creation. I'm putting a lot of kind of interesting stuff. Here's Ghost X. Shout out to Ghost X.
Yeah, shout out Ghost X. Australia in the house.
Yes, sir. But anyway, so yeah, you said not to look at it because you lose your train of thought, right? I did.
Yeah, here we go, man.
But anyway, but no, man. As far as promoting yourself, you have to nowadays. I mean, you could hire people to do it, or you could have somebody do it for a cut of something. If you know, I will say this: if you need a manager, that's good. Don't get an artist to be your manager. It's not a smart idea. Now, if he's a retired artist or she's a retired artist, fine. But if they're an active artist, when they get opportunities, they are looking for opportunities also. So you might, get passed up if you got an artist as your manager. I mean, that's just human nature, But it's kind of a bad thing to do. But I'm just saying, we lost Jake.
No, we're gonna put him right back in. Here we go.
Okay.
It's crazy because I can still see y'all the whole time.
But that's just one thing. But now, as far as associations, connections are really important these days. And all the features you're doing. I mean, you work hard, man. You've got features with a whole bunch of people. It can challenge your quality over quantity thing sometimes. So you really have to be on your P's and Q's when you put it out, so you don't slip. But that's the only downside I could see to doing that much work. But so far, your stuff just gets better, man. So I don't know what you're doing, but whatever the stuff you put in your Kool-Aid, I want some of it. But
Well, Skeet, you know, and I know that, you know, when we mix up Kool-Aid, sometimes we do it together. We got a couple of dope joints we've been working on. I got you on one of those Shotgun Shane tracks I've been working on lately. And
that's
you
gonna be a
know,
good song.
I think it's going to be a really great song too. I think that your mixing skills are something to be you know, talked about too, because you mix most of your own songs, right, or all of them? Like,
Yeah. Well, here's a trick. If you get old, once you pass 35, you start losing low tone hearing in your ear. It's just natural. We all do it. So you either have to have a young person around that can hear that for you, or you got to really study the frequencies.
right,
You know, because I'll hear something, I go, man, that's dope, and then I'll play for somebody that's like, I don't think so. You know,
right.
and so you really got to stay on your game. I do several kinds of mixing. I do the pyramid of sound. I do spatial mixing, the stereoscopic mixing from the old days. Remember those old AC/DC records where you had the guitar over here and drums and stuff all over the place?
Oh
I do a
yeah,
lot of that stuff. Stereoscopic mixing is from the old days. Anyway, I mix in 3 different layers, and the last one is a frequency mixing. And I don't want to get too technical or nothing, they're boring, but when you do frequency mixing, you just got to make sure your low tones are low and your high tones are high and nothing crosses over too much. That way you open the middle up for vocals and all the other things, you know. And it depends. I've sort of got a baritone in my voice, so it's tricky for me sometimes when I mix my voice, because it can clash with either the bass or the you usually don't clash with 808s because I'm not that deep voiced.
right.
But it can clash with a bass if you got a bass guitar in there or other things like that. So, but anyway, it's just a matter of separating those things. You could do it visually now with a lot of the tools they have. You don't even have to know the frequencies. You can just say, oh, this shape needs to be moved over here. You know,
Right, everything's like overlaid and opaque.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the balance of it. See, for me, I always get like, I know I could do it if I practice more.
Yeah.
But that's just not where my mindset is, because it's really like you said. I've just been in a lyrical mode. Like I really have. I feel like I got a lot to say, you know, in that arena. I've been having people hit me up with features. I really like that because it's like, for me, it's like a Rubik's Cube, you know. And so there's been a couple times where I didn't figure it out, had to go back to the drawing board, or they said no thanks or whatever. Maybe I was, you know, one too many beers deep that night and thought I was being cool, and it was like, wait, we wrote 2 different songs. I was like, oh man, but the bars are good, right? You know.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to give a quick shout out to the TNT fam in there. TNT Dad, TNT Mom. I don't know if Tyler's in there or not, but some good folks.
Yes, for sure. I especially wanted to thank them too, man. We had a 4.5 hour interview, like you were saying earlier.
That wore me out just watching it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's
interesting though.
Morsels all over that thing.
It was a good interview though. It was really good. Yeah, but no, man. Back to the mixing thing. It's there's different styles of it, but there's I guess the sonic quality that everybody expects, you know, and that's trendy. It can change a little bit as time goes on. One thing I do, I like to test it on buddy speakers too. Like I'll play my song on a laptop speaker that's janky, you know, and then I'll play it on a cell phone that's got a little bit better speaker in it. I use studio headphones. I use the studio monitors. I'll listen to it in a sort of a sound dampened room. And then you got to play it in the car.
Yeah.
And if it can pass muster in all those areas, at least come within a range, then you got something. And that's good for mixing and mastering, you know.
I hear a lot of stuff mixed on phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I hear
it's
a lot
to mix good on the phone.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild that, you know, like I know some of my older stuff aren't the best mixes, but you know, I kind of want to keep that there to show progression, like you were saying, like keep that album wrapped. You know what I'm saying? Those are my wrapped albums. You know what I mean? Like,
We've got some old Doghouse stuff on YouTube too, on a Doghouse channel. Some of it's released, some of it not, and you can really tell the difference in the technology. and actually the techniques that we used were way better than we used to be. Some of that stuff I'm like, I don't know if I want to put that out there, man, but it's out there. So I'm with you on that 100%.
Yes, for sure. Hey Jake, didn't you used to mix and stuff like that back in the day?
I messed around quite a bit with different stuff. Really, my thing, man, for the most part, whenever it comes to like strings and everything, I want to do live recordings. It's just it's a lot easier for me now. I used to have like a little multi-track recorder. I would do a guitar and vocal, and then I'd go back in and solo over it, stuff like that. But I'm a gutter street kid, man. I don't have no newfangled technology and shit.
All you need for that is a good microphone.
Yeah.
A really nice microphone.
We got to get the Help a Homie fund going. We're going to get the ticker going for our show soon. We're going to have our instrument and mix fund, and
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to do this for money. I want to have a platform to get on and see how real people are. You know what I mean? Because I know you're a real dude, Skeet. I talk to you, and Jake is one of the realest ever to, and I've never felt like it was to a fault. You know what I'm saying? The law did sometimes, but I never did.
Well, that happens,
It does.
Yeah, we're from a culture. If you're not careful, you can party till you're homeless, brother.
I partied till I was homeless at least 10 times.
Well, I started homeless most of the time. I'll be honest. I started homeless, and I'm like, might as well party since I'm homeless and all.
Yeah. TNT Dad, a robot.
Yeah, I don't think you'd pass muster as a robot, TNT Dad.
Oh, you botting out.
You're too real.
Oh, Jake hit him with the robot. So you already answered a question I was going to have for you, which was, what advice do you have for artists that are starting out? I know that when you hit me up, I was like surprised and honored that you had hit me up to be on that song. You know what I'm saying? So I was always curious about like what sent the flag up about me.
What was compelling about you was actually you're way better now than you were then. You as far as technique goes, you were good then, but you're way better now as far as style. But what drew me in personally was your story. I loved your dadgum story. I still do. I mean, it's something that you're passionate about. It's something you're willing to share with others. And that helps people, man. That helps people. A lot of people. It helps people you don't even realize it helps. And the way you present it is not harmful. It's not in a way that's going to say, hey, go do this because I did this and it was cool. You don't do it that way.
No,
you do it a way different way. You're like, I was young. I learned this thing and I moved on. I grew up. I moved past it. I matured. I did this other stuff. It's a really good story. And then you also are trying to reach back and say, hey, maybe I can save my brother or maybe I can save this other person.
Yes.
And that's what we do as humans. That's what makes us, who we are really. If you don't do that kind of stuff, then who are you? You're a narcissistic, self-centered prick. That's what you are.
Right.
We have to live as human beings and as independent as I am as an individual. And I want to stand on my own 2 feet and pull my own britches up and all that kind of stuff. We are social creatures. We got to look out for family. We got to look out for friends. We got to look out for those who deserve our care, And so when I see people like that, I want to be involved with people like that. And everybody on that Dem Boys record is like that.
Right.
They may be different. They may be unique. They may be isolated. They may be all these other things people can say about them, but they're real 100%. Bloodhound is a real motherfucker.
Right.
J-Fax is real. He brought that experience from war. Bloodhound brought that experience from the street. and from the woods and from his people and all the other stuff. You brought the experience from your background, from serving and in a couple different kind of ways,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so it was a happy, fun song. It was almost but it don't matter to me if we do a happy, fun song or if we do a real song or a hardcore song or a story song or whatever. I don't want to work with people that ain't real like that, because I know we'll be working on other stuff like the one you and I are working on now.
Right.
That's a dope ass song. We've actually got a couple songs like that. One we're working with Tone to Bone.
Yes.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag or nothing, so I ain't going to talk too much about it. But and then another one with I guess Dunbar and another artist. Yeah. And hopefully that one gets done. That's a real song there too.
Yeah, it is a real ass song, and I've sent it to a couple people, and they're like, "When's that coming out? That needs to be out." You know.
Yeah, that one's got a timestamp on it, so we need to get that out as soon as we can.
Well, see, I was talking with Jake earlier, and the subject you had just brought up, and I do want to make it a major theme of this podcast is redemption, man. And you know, redemption is one of the themes of this podcast. Jake said he loved the redemption aspect of it, and I respect and appreciate that you see what I'm trying to do here with the. You know, if you don't follow the example, because and on that note, I'll tell everybody right now again, 7 years ago, I was strung out on the streets, didn't know my kids, couldn't care less. My mama was begging me to stop. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I thought the whole world was trying to kill me, and I ran the whole world at the same time. It made no sense. You know what I mean? And it took prison for me to break out of that cycle. But if somebody is out there and they're addicted right now and they hear this one day and they say, you know, I can't fucking stop and I need help, then go get the help. I wish I would have got the help. I wish I would have never went to prison. It made me a better person, but I wish I hadn't needed that, if that makes sense. But I did need that for my fate and to be here now to know the things I do to spread the message to the next man. And that's a big reason why I brought Jake as my co-host too. I mean, he can tell you about his redemption.
Man, everybody's got to go through what they got to go through to get it. But once you get it, man, like the point of like that, the ability to reach up here from where you've grown to and pull somebody out of the mud. That's my reason for existing. Now, whatever the fuck that looks like on a day to day, whether it's me putting out some music that might inspire somebody, or me going and helping somebody in some other way, that's the goal, man. Because like Ole Skeet said, man, we're social creatures. As much as I isolate, as much as I get off on my own weird shit, at the end of the day, you know, I feel like to be of maximum service to my socioeconomic group, to my chosen family, whoever that is, you know, that's what it's all about. And this platform is great for that. Your music is great for that. And you, I mean, we're doing it, man. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's really awesome. Well, I mean, you know, Skeet, we if you could have told us 10 years ago we was going to be doing this right now, brother, we'd have laughed out loud. And we were probably on a park bench playing a mandolin and singing nursery rhymes or something. I mean,
probably.
That's just the way we was living.
If somebody told me in the 90s I was going to be doing country rap and hip hop, I'd be like, man, you full of shit. You know, I'm Ole Skeet. I'm an OG, man. I'm hard. You know, no.
That being said, tell us about the I Know Gun Fu. I want to hear the story behind why I Know Gun Fu. What triggered that in you?
Well, nice pun there, but yeah, it's well, I mean, I'm a firm believer in defending yourself and your family and all that. It's a natural thing. You know, you don't need a law to tell you that you need to defend your people, right? And yourself. It comes naturally. And so without getting into the politics of it, at least too much, the Second Amendment and gun ownership and protecting yourself is a serious subject. Regardless of your opinion on it, it's a very serious subject, and one that's, I think, fundamental to being a human being and being an American. And so I could have put a song out like that, and it would have been serious, and all that. But I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to try something from a slightly different perspective. A lot of my music is happy music. And so I wanted to add a little bit of comedy to it without at least watering it down too much. I wanted to be subtly serious, if that's even a phrase. But anyway, and so that's why, as I was telling Jake earlier, when I start the song out, it's sort of a scene in a parking lot of a Chinese restaurant. So don't cancel me. But anyway, so the thing of it is, me and Scooter roll up in the Cadillac in a Chinese restaurant, and I get out to go get some food. And this dude rolls up on me. He pulls a knife on me. And so I start the song out with like, son, you done brought a knife to a gunfight,
Yeah.
And then I got this scene where I raise up, I got this big old Asian straw hat on. I said, I know gun food,
Yeah.
And so I go into that, and I sort of, I hit some, I guess, people who are enthusiasts can hear the language in it, and people who don't will learn some things. And it's basically just a little comical blurb about defending yourself,
What I like about the song is you know your audience, so you're giving them the respect of not doing that serious song that everybody tends to do, like a Second Amendment. Like I love Second Amendment with Adam Calhoun. I love that song. And it's a very serious song about I will shoot your ass, you know what I'm saying? But you give that much respect to your listeners that, you know what, they already know I'll shoot your ass. Let me tell you, let me put that spin and give you the respect that you already know what's up. You know what I mean? I like that aspect of it.
But yeah, it's and I add all the buzz phrases and buzzwords in it that the Second Amendment folks are used to, if I find you here at night, they'll find you in the morning. That kind of stuff. For my cold dead hands, all that kind of stuff. It's words and phrases we grew up with. My daddy was a survivalist, and he taught us, small unit tactics when I was 12. And I could handle weapons. They don't call me Ole Skeet for nothing. There's also a line from the song. My name actually came from when I was 16 years old. I was a regional traps champion, but my city friends didn't know the difference between traps and skeet, so they called me Skeet, and it sounded way cooler than traps, so it just sort of stuck.
And it quite well.
Yeah, and so anyway, so the gun culture was always part of my family, part of my life, and it was normal to us. I've been mad at my parents. I've been mad at people at school. I've been mad at teachers in my life, but I never once even considered picking one up and taking it up there and dealing with them. Right. Because it just wasn't how I was raised and a part of it. So there's something in our society now that's twisted, and I ain't going to try to get off in a dark place here, but we have a cultural problem. We don't have a gun problem.
Well, I think it's a lot more precedence as well, and the information getting out there to where, like, as a young person, you see that growing up your whole childhood, and you think that, hey, it happens. You know what I'm saying? But I was a kid during Columbine. I was maybe like 4 or 5 years younger than those guys. Yeah. And I remember like that blowing my mind, it being national news, schools everywhere being shut down over this one incident, stuff like crazy. Yeah. Like there was a national hysteria, but in this day and age, I always have to go back to what's real and what's not. I mean, there's so much distrust in the media now, you know, and what was real back then. How was the story spun? For everything in our national news past, it's kind of hard to discern because, 5-10 years later, well, it comes out faster now that, the government lies to us when big things happen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, that's one of the big things too. I think it like culturally, a desensitization of very, very serious things like that.
Yeah. And, you hit on something that actually adds value to stuff like this. And stuff like what TNT does and Triple T and Vic XL and all these other folks that are in our community and Snowman that do all this kind of stuff. Boss Lady Bird, even the news we get is mostly, and it don't matter if it's right or left. It's mostly propagandized stuff. They preach to their audiences and tell them what they want to hear. And while there may be truth in it, there's also some bias in it. And so people get to where they don't trust it anymore. And so then they start leaning on people like y'all or people like us even, which they should not do that, but they do it because there's no other place to go. And people that rap, especially, it don't matter what kind, there's a lot of truth in rap, a lot of truth. Matter of fact, sometimes it's a little bit too true, you know. Even if you're perpetrating something you ain't, you're still telling the truth of somebody's story. You know, usually it may not be your story. I don't do that, but I mean, I know some people that do, and they shouldn't do it. Right. But because you gotta keep it real. So only tell your truth. But the thing is there's more value that's placed on it in that way, and so that's one reason why I keep my stuff a little light. There's just too many people that look. I don't mind. I could stand up. I used to be a politician. I can stand up in front of a crowd and I talk all day about whatever subject you want to talk about when it comes to public policy. But the thing of it is, I'm not doing music to spread public policy. I'm doing music to spread love and to spread the truth, but not necessarily the hard truths, even though there are some that have to be said. You know, I'm trying to, you know, I want to be that guy that puts the positivity out there because we need it right now. There's so much stuff out there that's dark, and it don't matter what your political philosophy is. It's dark no matter where you are.
Right.
And it's and hopelessness is a thing. Yes. We have to avoid that, you know, because quite truthfully, I think it gets worse before it gets better, no matter how it plays out. You know, so they're going to need to see that light. And we have an opportunity to give that light. It don't have to be all happy, fun music, but it needs to be something positive, you know?
Right.
And well, you know, it's just what it is. I mean, that don't mean you shouldn't tell those other stories. Of course you should. But anyway, that's just my opinion, of course.
Exactly. Well, for me, when I'm writing music, sometimes there's the fun music, sometimes there's the, you know, like Green Man, who don't.
I love it. I love that song, man. That's a dope ass song.
Yeah, and it's a good time song. I made it to be easily digestible by you know the masses, even people that don't smoke. They'll get down with that song because it's a pretty good song. You know what I mean? But like I got songs like Down in the Depth. And I showed a buddy of mine that, and I didn't know he was getting high, which I never thought I would be able to miss it. You know what I'm saying? Because I got high for so many years, but he was coming around me high, and I didn't know he was high, or else he wouldn't have been coming around me. But he knew that he was kind of hiding it. Well, he ended up getting locked up with possession and stuff like that. Well, right before that happened, I was listening to Down in the Depths with him, and I say, yeah, I've been a killer. I've been killing myself, gone off the meth way down in the depths. And when I said gone off the meth, he liked to jump out of his skin, and he had to get going, because it's like when you're in that, it's such an insecurity of like, oh man, I got all these great people that I know. They're just not going to mess with me at all if they know about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt bad because he felt he had to lie to someone that wouldn't have gave a shit if he told the truth. But he knew what the consequences of the truth were, and he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. And he ended up, you know, he ended up where we all end up when we're on bullshit.
That's right. That's right.
Prison is real. I was a straight A student, kids. I was a straight A student. I was in the military. I scored a 98 on the ASVAB. I was an airborne Korean linguist that was airborne on the back of a jet. I had a top secret clearance, and then years later, I was addicted to meth in the streets with you know, essentially everybody else. I was with my homie right here, and he had a case of dreams and hopes and future dash. So fuck it, and that's the same shit I had. So like, yes, I respect you for realizing that my story is about. Look, you can be the biggest turd in the whole land and come back from it. It just takes a rude awakening, and like you said,
there is one thing though with that. You know the old principle or the old idea about a leopard not changing its spots.
Yes.
That's still true, but here's what makes it different. The things I did in my youth, there's some bad things I did. I'm not even going to talk about them. I'm not going to hide them. I'm just not going to talk about them. But the thing is, that Skeet is still in here. He's still here. But the mature adult Skeet, the responsible Skeet, you know, sound crazy talking about third person, but he suppresses that guy. That's what makes it awesome. That guy's still in there. You just can't let him out. You keep him at bay. You keep him in prison or whatever. You keep him in check. You know, that's part of who you are. You know, so the evil Skeet or whatever, the evil Jeff, whatever you want to call it, from the old days, he's still in there. Yeah. But he can't get out unless I let him out.
Right.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
The mature you has to build that zoo to put that leopard in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something I wanted to say, man, that I, you know, it's kind of been the theme so far is these tough subjects, man. These tough subjects, you know, like for you, Swamp, like your past, for you, Ole Skeet, you know, the Second Amendment thing. The beautiful thing that you guys are able to do with your respective platforms is you're able to take these hard, tough things and put them in this palatable package. You're it's like you said about the Green Man song, like you made it to where it's going to be accessible to that wide audience, man. That's being able to find a way to wrap up this shit from the past or these tough subjects, these political subjects to breach, being able to find that way to wrap those up and put them out there where everybody can grab them, where everybody can digest them. That's a beautiful, powerful fucking thing, man. And I love that. I love that about both of y'all, man. That's great.
Well, music is from the soul, man. Yeah. If you tap into it right, you know, it ain't just, I mean, you could be a lyricist and be a left brainer and not involve the soul too much, but that stuff is antiseptic. People don't jive with it most of the time. It's got to come from here. It's got to come from a place that's above us and beyond us in a way. I mean, that's why I like at music awards. Like if you watch the Oscars, there's a lot of people that are atheists and, you know, non-believers, let's just say non-theists and all that kind of stuff there. And it's okay. I mean, people do whatever they want, believe whatever they want. But when you watch the music awards, now, they may believe in different stuff, but they're giving it up to a higher power of some kind at the music awards. Because of the time, real musicians know there's something greater than us. Yeah. You know what I mean? We may not have it all nailed down, but we know that there's something greater than us.
There is I
find it beautiful when they, you know.
Yeah. There's a resonant thing, man, that because when it comes to music, I'm about 20% skill, about 80% vibe. Like I put a lot of hard hours into practicing, but at the end of the day, I'm bullshitting my way through it. I'm not bullshitting is the wrong word because I'm feeling it. You know, that's when I play guitar, I feel it. It's a feel thing for me. The technical skill, like you said, is antiseptic. It's antiseptic.
It is. You're right.
See, that's how they teach you. That's how they taught at LA Film School. They would teach you, like when they taught you music theory, like it is that antiseptic on the surface, but the thing is they have like this hidden message of like you can jam in this area if you stay like in this little area while the chords, you know what I mean? And that's like the next step of music theory that really isn't spelled out for you. It's like any of these notes will work if you're playing this chord, you know what I mean? But like it's not spelled out like that when they teach you.
It's like Kung Fu, man. The final technique is to forget all technique. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely get what you're saying about the vibe, because when I write, I'm not thinking of words at all when I first hear a beat. I'll go, you know.
That's what I do when I rap. That's what I do.
I will scat to it and I will pick out a word. And then I'll scat and pick out another cool word that rhymes with that word, and then I'll fill it up, and then it just starts flowing and vibing with me. You know what I'm saying? Because that phrase will take me to the next phrase.
I always, when I rap, I always try to get my cadence down before I start writing lyrics. Like I'll hear the beat and I'll be like, you know, and then I'll yabba dabba do my ass all the way to bars.
My brother walked in on me one time when I was doing that scatting and stuff, and he thought I was speaking in tongues or something. You know, he's like, "Damn, when did you become a Pentecostal?" I'm like, I'm just trying to get my cadence down, brother. You know, he didn't get it because he don't do this, you know.
Yeah.
And
we used to go riding. They'd be praying with snakes. Me and Jake, we used to go riding in the country out there. And it was a couple miles out of town, the Pentecostal. They'd always be praying with snakes out there every Sunday. I was like,
should be wild.
Yeah. Serious. For sure. Getting recharged.
Yeah.
I like it.
Taking up
some. Am I recharging here in a minute?
No, I know, Derek. I was just using them as an example because that's what they do, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I took some good acid and spoke in tongues one time.
Oh yeah, I spoke in many tongues. I blasted off on DMT one time and became the tongue.
Flying around, licking shit,
doing all that tongue stuff. I was talking and licking and slobbering.
I will say this: don't ever play basketball when you're on acid. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Why ride bicycles?
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Riding a bike. I like riding a bike. It's tradition.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago in another life, man, for me.
Well, let's
42.
I want to ask you about something because I was watching your video and I saw a class of 84 at Peabody High School.
Yeah.
So you were wearing a jersey. What position did you play?
Linebacker.
Linebacker?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I was Tiger, baby.
Yeah, I was D-line myself. I always liked playing defense more. Jake, did you play
football?
Yeah.
Nah, I always as soon as they started two-a-days, I quit. But I threw shot put and discus, and I was in marching band.
Yeah.
And I was the manager of the cross country team.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
I never knew that about you, man.
Yeah.
See, we're finding new stuff out about old friends, Skeet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's weird? Defense people, like defensive ends and linebackers, can recognize each other in public, having not known them. You know what I mean? It's just weird. It's a certain thing. I don't know what it is, but it's with linebackers and sometimes defensive ends and sometimes even other positions like cornerback on defense, you've got that eyes set forward predator mode thing, and it's a weird mindset you get into when you do that. You know, the football we played back then, hell, I'd be thrown out about every game now for, you know, what do they call it now? Where you lead with your head and all that stuff. But
what's crazy for me, like I started football up in Michigan, and then I went down to the Florida Panhandle, and I'm telling you, Southern football hits different. I'll be the first to tell you, because when it was in Michigan, it was like, you know, it reminded me of like the equivalent of sitting down at a nice restaurant and tucking your napkin in, and you have your forks on this side and your spoons on. When I went to Florida, we were eating crawfish off the damn table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And we played bull in the ring. I had never heard of bull in the ring, but it's when one person gets in the middle of the circle and the coach starts calling out numbers for the guys in the circle, and they just start coming. 14, 2, 7.
Yeah.
I think it was purely for their entertainment most of the time.
Hit drills, yeah. A lot of stuff, man.
So besides the stuff we got working on, Skeet, are you working on anything else? I really think that like 4 Horsemen style concept that you came up with is dope, and I don't want to say too much about like the members of the whatever.
I'd like to do that, something like that. I've got probably 3 songs to add to that, and if others could put in a song or whatever, kind of get 6 songs out of it. And we all kind of do different parts. And I want to do the tag team thing, you know, kind of like Cypress Hill and maybe the old Beastie Boys style, and you remember Run DMC did. I don't want it to be old school, but I want to do the tag team thing a
Well, I
little
like
bit.
Wu-Tang where it like some songs was 2, some
exactly.
songs was 5, some songs was 3. Some, you know what I'm saying? I would love to do a Wu-Tang type style for our little independent. You know what I'm saying? That way it's like
that would be
those
really
cats
dope.
over there spit bars. You know what I mean? Like any one of them.
Because the different artists that, you know, without naming everybody, like say, we have different styles, and different parts of those rhymes would be perfect to come in, and somebody be the straight man, somebody be the crazy guy, somebody be, you know, all that kind of
I'll
stuff.
be the crazy guy.
And so, and so anyway, you know, but that's just one thing. I'm working on a bunch of stuff with a lot of people. Hell, I don't even remember everything I'm working on. I have a list, and I go and I'm like, today I'm going to be working on this, you know. And I've got one song that has been on the back burner for a while, and that's the Johnny Cash thing, the remake.
Yeah.
We already got the people on that one. You know who they are.
Yeah.
But I got it. I'm stuck on it because I want to get it right, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we'll have to see. That one may take a few more months, but we'll get it. I'm also doing another one. I've got a couple things, and I can't mention them really, but I got a couple things that's sort of in the works, possibly with Dunbar and some other artists there. There's a bunch of folks that I'm working with. Of course, I've got my own stuff that I'm working on. I try to put at least one song out a month, sometimes 2, sometimes 5, you know, whatever. But most of the time,
where they can get your stuff. Where can they get your stuff?
Well, they can get it here on YouTube at Ole Skeet, Ole Skeet 420, I guess. Is that it?
Yeah, I think it's Ole Skeet 420.
And
just head over there. You can order a whole bunch of. He's got his links underneath there. And if you go on Instagram as well, Ole Skeet on Instagram, he's got all his shirts, merch over there that you can get.
Yeah, I got you can also on YouTube, you can see my videos. I do a lot of what I call interface videos. And I try to make them humorous a little bit, not always, but most of the time. And interesting is the main thing. And so I split my time up. It takes me forever to work on videos. I can do songs. I can probably do 3 songs a week. I mean, complete, you know, mixing and mastering and everything. As far as writing songs, I could write 10 or 15 songs a day.
Yeah.
But mixing and mastering them and getting them right and getting them laid down, it's a couple songs a week usually. But not every song is meant to be released. You know,
that's true.
While you're in the groove of it, you go, "Oh man, this is dope," and then you listen to it the next day, and you're like, "Man, this sucks," you know. Yeah. And so you get some of those. I call them diamonds and rocks. You get for every 2 or 3 rocks, you get a diamond out of it, you know. And so anyway.
And then sometimes you go back to one of them old dusty ass rocks and polish it off. It turns out to be something after all.
That's right. If you change it up just a little bit different, it turns into something else.
One word, awesome. Change the whole vibe.
Man, that's right. So I revisit them sometimes. But I've got a couple things with Tone. I don't think he minds me saying that. We're going to do a couple things for Spindat, I think.
Nice.
And I've got a solo for Spindat that I'm working on, but the more I work on it, the more I don't want to put it on Spindat, you know, because I'm like, oh man, you know, I don't want to put it behind a box, but
yeah,
but anyway, or a gate, I guess is the real way to say it.
I mean, we could talk more about Spindat, you know, and the way it goes to be about being used, because I see some people kind of using it right now. I see some people just going nuts on there and trying to sell what people can get for free.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a learning process with the Spindat, and I'm definitely getting, you know, Jake and I do have some musical projects that we're working on. I'm in the process of writing some bluegrass. He's in the process of, you know, picking out some songs so we can get some melodies behind them and doing real bluegrass.
I love some bluegrass, man.
Yeah, we're gonna do some
If you
real.
put a hip hop beat behind it.
I'm with it, man.
Well, we're thinking about doing like a drum in 808 to, mandolin, banjo, bass, and
Yeah,
guitar.
that's right.
So
Get your dobro in there, put some Delta blues in it.
yeah, I really wanted to be me and him just playing all the instruments. I think that would be badass.
That would
Nice.
be
You
cool.
play dobro?
I can, yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm not gay, but you might be my new friend here, my new good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
man. I'd love to be able to just at least just throw some dobro down somewhere, record it, and then somebody use it for something. You know what I mean? That'd be cool.
I would use it a lot because I do a lot of Delta stuff in my music. One of the things I focused on in music is the cultural region of the Mississippi Delta. And I don't mean in the state, I mean the entire Delta region from southern Illinois all the way to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Culturally, if you really look at it, most of the music in America came from there. Yeah, it may have came by way of somewhere else and ended up there, but it came out of there. And
Led Zeppelin's pretty much their first 4 albums were pretty much all Delta blues standards.
All the way up until In For the Outdoor, it was all pretty much blues. Yeah.
And so, well, you got I put out a song called Rednecks in America, and part of the hook was cornbread, neck, bone, and collard greens. And I had an old redneck friend from Alabama say, "Hey man, that ain't redneck food. That's soul food." And I said, "Well, if you live in the Mississippi Delta region, redneck food and soul food is the same food."
Yeah.
And so there's a cultural homogenization that occurs there that surpasses racism and all the bad stuff that happened in the past. There's still some of that. There's still some of that there, but culturally, they're more closer together than they are in a lot of other places in the country, as far as all the different cultures. And it ain't just black and white; it's Hispanic and other cultures too that live there, have lived there traditionally. And so we share a lot of things culturally, and so the people tend to be really, really good neighbors to each other, or really, really bad neighbors to each other.
Right.
And so, and that's sort of how it is there. And it still is that way, and I just love the region. And I promote that as a form of, I guess, bringing people together, because that music does, it really does. And so that's why I put it in my music. I just added hip hop and dance music to it.
I like that, man.
Yeah. Really easy top with an 808, man.
Yeah, we got to get that 808 in there for sure. Look, we're past an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and let you get out of here. We know we got the debate tonight.
Thanks
I don't know how much difference it's going to make in the country one way or the other. Hopefully, we get on the right path as a whole, as a people, is the thing I'm going for. You know what I mean? And, we can all observe the clown show as people and see it as a clown show. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on outside of elections.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
Thank you, Ole Skeet.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Anytime.
And we'll definitely do this again in the future. I got a feeling that people are going to want to see you again, bud.
Okay. Sure. That'd be cool, man. It's good to speak with y'all.
All right.
Yeah,
have a great evening,
I got a pink scooter now.
All right. Have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Swamp Talk Tuesday nights, baby.
Yeah.
Yes,